as you know, Tim, we did not have a meeting last week as scheduled because we lacked a quorum.
Yeah.
Though we were here.
We didn't talk though.
But we
Yeah,
did,
we
did
didn't
not
talk.
talk.
Nothing important.
So the first order would be to approve the minutes.
There's a correction to the minutes.
Yeah.
I had Bob Moorhead present, he wasn't. So I will correct that before I send it on to
Okay.
town.
Good enough.
Okay.
Yep. Okay.
So,
Do we
so
ever-
moved,
Alright.
right?
We
What-
got-
so-
Or move to
what-
approve
do they need to be
We
cer-
can,
as amended.
As amended.
as amended, yes. Seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
okay. Alright, so,
Great.
thank you, Tim, for your good work. I mean, Athena, should we just let you go first, or do you need a minute?
No, I'm ready to go if you guys are.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Sure.
What I would love, and you all should have received the initial memo that we didn't talk about last week. Because of the timing of the survey and planning grant, that it is due January 6th, and it has to be an overnight. February 6th, sorry. February 6th, and it has to be overnighted to Boston, and I don't want to risk overnighting it Friday night before that Monday.
Sure.
And that Thursday night would be your all's next meeting. So what I would love permission from this commission is to allow Margot to represent you all in discussions with me about finishing the grant. It's actually in really good shape, and I drafted the letter based on the draft, but I could still use some more input from Margot as I run along and finish the grant. The letter, I think, is in good enough shape to sign. However, we might want to wait just in case we tweak the grant a little more and let Margot finalize the letter and then sign it for John, but I'll leave that up to you guys. I did pass around the draft letter that I finished today. So I think that's on that. And it says the goals in the letter. And basically, when I talked with MHC, they said that we probably have enough money with the 40,000 total to do about 140 updated inventories. And so we'd like to concentrate on some of the newer buildings that are listed in the inventory and maybe those that are not, to update those. And Margot and I had printed off a bunch of listings from Megris, and we actually talked about those. And I have a question for you, John, on one of those as well.
Okay.
And then to also look at including like African American heritage buildings, and if we have any Native American buildings and or properties or monuments, we could look at that too to get more broad representation.
Tim, do you know if there's any physical attributes that's associated with that
Native American?
No,
park?
no, as far as I know, there are not.
That's what I thought. I had
I don't
researched
believe so,
it.
no.
Okay.
No.
If you come across any over the next couple of weeks, let me know.
Sure.
And
Sure.
we can actually include it, but otherwise I'll take
Yeah,
it out.
there's a couple of memorial stones about the false fight, but they're not, they wouldn't qualify under that.
Right, yep.
And is it a nationally designated site of some sort?
Is what?
That land that's associated with the.
No, there's a couple of monuments, as I say, but they're monuments to Captain Turner, brave Captain Turner, who, so they're and so as I said, the group, the battlefield group is working on trying to get recognition by the National Park Service of that battlefield area, which includes pieces of Greenfield.
Right.
So presumably at some point, they may be successful in getting that recognized, and if they do, there would be some part of that battlefield that would be in Greenfield.
But there's
Most,
no structures actually on the
There's no
battlefield,
structures,
it's just,
no,
okay,
it's just,
'cause-
But
it's just,
if it were an area form that we shared with Turner's, then we
yeah,
should
most
have
of
in
it,
our
most of it is in
inventory.
Greenfield.
Yeah,
And but the battle took place on, most of the battle took place in Greenfield.
okay,
And so at some point, that would be something that would be, probably should be added, but at
Okay.
this point, it's too nebulous to do that. And
Yeah, 'cause
they
you
still
said-
have another survey to do.
okay,
They're several years away from that.
okay. Well, we'll be doing more updates, so we,
Yeah, that could be, that could
Address
be an
that
update
then.
later on, but
Cool.
right now, no.
okay,
uh-huh.
okay, thank you.
I mean,
Um,
they are trying to get their arms around Native American heritage.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I would love to do
Sure.
something about
Yeah.
that and
Right.
recognize it.
Well, I mean, from that point of view, since because of the geography of this area, because of the fact that we're in a narrow valley on the other, in the river on the other side, and there's a lot of arable, well-drained land. We're talking 15,000 years or more of occupation of every spot that's level in this whole town.
Oh.
So, I mean, you can dig anywhere and find artifacts.
I know you can find arrowheads everywhere.
Yeah, anywhere that's near water and well drained, there's gonna be people that have lived there. And whether you're talking prehistoric, you're talking pre-woodlands, woodlands era, or right on up. So, that, from that point of view, the whole area qualifies. And then there's the Wissawintig, how do you pronounce that?
I don't know.
Where the old Mackin property.
Yeah,
That
And
has
the
been
French-
purchased
French
and
right,
way,
that's
yeah.
what I
and
thought that
part
was
of
part
that
of the
belongs to
battlefield.
the federal government, and
Oh.
and part of it belongs to the, but again,
To the
it's not,
tribe.
there's no structures on it. It's just,
Yeah.
it's just land. Wissawinnetig, that's not
Oh, good job.
Good, yeah, thank you.
Thank you
right.
Tongue
for that
twister.
update. Okay, and so specifically, based on what I talked with the MHC staff, Peter, and also, they referred to in the application on
The name on the
reconnaissance
back, will you?
report. And any deficiencies that were brought out in the reconnaissance report, which includes, the industrial areas, and also some of the metals. So we decided we would look at those. And in particular, update some of the abandoned buildings, because the listing of abandoned buildings is out of date. And so that would be something
It's like
helpful for
30
the
years out of date.
It's a
historical.
little late for
commission.
some of them are on
Oh,
the,
going,
Yeah.
on the fire right now.
Technically, we
So,
need to
yeah.
also update the inventories with that as well, so that would be something
Right.
that the consultants would do. And then look at particular areas that the reconnaissance survey pointed out, like the Greenfield Tap and Die Factory on Riddle Street, and some of the other industrial buildings that, we could look at.
A bunch of those.
Yeah.
Riddell.
Riddell, I'm sorry,
We're done.
Riddell Street.
That's
Keep
okay.
correcting me
Tomato.
on that, Marco, I'll get it one of these days. It looks like Riddle, sorry.
It does.
It does.
I don't blame you.
Um,
Stop it.
No, I appreciate that. Okay, so that's pretty much it on the updates, and again, that's in the letter as well. So any questions or anything like that? Basically, the progress would be, or the process would be, once the money's awarded, we would issue an RFP for consultants. We have $40,000 to, we will have $40,000 to finish this if they award the whole amount. And it would start in July. Margot has agreed to be the local project coordinator with Eric.
Mhm.
And so the two of them will work on that, and basically looking over the bids that come in. Apparently there aren't a lot of companies, architects and other firms that want to bid on these things anymore, because they're a lot of work for less pay, or little pay. And so hopefully we will get some bids, and then once that process goes, then the consultants would meet with MHC staff and Margot and Eric and start looking over all the inventories, make sure the consultants know what they're doing, and then they would have at it. And then through the various phases, the consultants would provide different results, and then probably, I think I put in one meeting under phase 5, and I will send you all the completed application, so that the consultants could come here and provide an update of all the surveys that they've done and present to you the preliminary stuff that they're gonna,
Is this the kind of a project that a college would undertake as opposed to an architectural firm?
they have to be on the bid list with MHC, so I would
Okay.
say not.
No,
Okay.
it
you
would
know.
be a consultant with historic preservation and
Yeah, somebody who
Degree.
specializes in that.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, we would get, the historical commission would get 2 hard copies, I believe, MHC would get 2 hard copies of all the completed inventories. And then we would also have a flash drive of everything that they produce, so that you can reproduce it. Be nice to, I was even thinking one of the meetings could be like a public hearing if you all wanted to do
Sure.
that.
Well, and these, it'd be need to be online once it's done.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
exactly.
Sure.
Yeah,
Available
this
through
is
the
a good
town, through the
opportunity.
city website,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is that scope included in the?
It's not included in the letter, but I did put it in the one that I gave you as a draft. Yep, I put it in.
So I move that we approve the idea of Margot representing the commission in this process, that thing that you asked for up
Okay.
front.
Okay.
So I put a motion on the table for that.
Second.
Second?
Do I have to recuse?
No. Don't.
No, you can't.
Enormous
You could vote against it.
Yeah, that's right.
That, no, you can't do that either.
If I were thinking, I would vote against it. Anyway.
Oh, yeah, sounds good. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Alright.
Cool. And now you all have the draft letter. If you have any comments or changes you want, please let me know. Happy to make any additions, changes, and then Margot will sign it for John or
No,
John to sign it and
Yeah, I
we'll get
can-
you
I-
electronic signature.
Yes, yes.
And all of that'll happen. I'd like to put it in the mail probably the Monday, or Wednesday before your meeting, so that's like the 1st of February would probably be good, just to get it in overnight and make sure they get it and all that, because it's actually in really good shape.
Yeah.
I did get, I am getting letters, hopefully from the Historical Society. She didn't get back to me yet, but I'm gonna talk to her tomorrow. I've got one coming from FERCog. Jim said he would do one for the museum. CPC is voting on theirs tonight. And, that should be, good on the letters for this.
Comerford? Were you gonna get?
Well, I could reach out, we're
She'd
gonna
be
ask
great.
her for a couple of letters, so I need to talk to the mayor about that.
Oh,
She
how many?
postponed my meeting today,
could
because
just-
of meeting with the budget and stuff like that, so.
Uh,
So if there's no more on that, quickly, can I talk about the Massachusetts?
Well, I have one quick question about the, what's the timeline for the survey? Did I miss that?
Oh, we would get awarded the money, they would tell us, I think in June, May or June.
Yeah,
We do contract negotiations in July.
yeah.
Then we start the RFP process. I will send you the phase, the working.
Sure, yeah, yeah.
And then, the consultants start in
Oh, here we go.
September, and then it goes on, and the whole thing has to be done by the end of April, I think it is, or May.
2024.
A little bit of a
Four.
cushion till June.
Okay,
Yeah.
alright, thank you. I see it now here in this
And that's all
product.
contingent on the contract negotiations and the next stages. Notoriously late, although I expect the MHC people to be pretty sticking to it. They seem to be stickers.
Yeah, I think we should compliment Athena on getting
Yeah.
us to this phase because
Very good.
we're one of
It's very exciting.
20 or
Like
something.
25.
Well, it's, I can say it's great, to really, to partner with the town, to do stuff that's a larger scope, but after years
Yeah.
of being on here and finally, I think this
Yeah.
is, hopefully this is the start of more
I
to
hope so.
come.
I love histories. I love coming.
Yeah, I mean, Yeah, so.
And it's a good thing. I mean, we need to preserve all these things.
Absolutely.
And I know y'all don't have a lot of staff, so
Yeah. like-
limited
Yeah.
staff because
Well,
Eric's
we're getting
over
spoiled by
well,
you,
so-
Athena.
Yeah. Happy to come. So.
Okay, ahead,
yeah,
so-
Okay.
Yeah.
So I am also working on another grant. It's for the Massachusetts Preservation Projects Fund, MPPF. and it is due March 17th. And I had emailed you all a one-pager on it. It's to do a pre-concept study of the Levitt Hubby House now that the library will be vacating in spring. And it's to basically do a study with cost estimates of what needs to be done to the building to be able to keep it in the public domain. And options for keeping it in the public domain, whether that's to be like offices plus maybe a public area, some meeting rooms, whatever could be done with that building, and that includes any kind of ADA modifications that would need to be done. I know there's piping work that needs to be done. I think in the capital plan there is money for the roof to be done. But we want to get this study underway now so that we can not let it sit, so that something can be done with it and so that we can keep it in the public domain. Okay, so this grant, again, it's due March 17th, so what I would propose is to bring it back to you. I can either bring it back to you, well, it'll be your first meeting in March is when I would bring it back, since we're already probably meeting now, so.
Sure.
And, it's in good shape, although I know that the mayor is still thinking about things and is gonna do a informational walkthrough with Margot and, Mark, right?
Yeah, Mark Snow, the building
Mark Snow,
inspector.
yeah.
Cool.
Just to go over things and so that,
Check
yeah,
it out.
Well, see if it could have interim occupancy,
Yeah.
because having
Yes.
somebody in there would be
So it's not
a
empty.
good idea.
so it's not empty, right, and to see what.
Continual have-
we-
yeah.
Well, we don't want
use.
we don't want town hall to slow this down.
No.
I mean,
Yeah. Yeah,
We
and
don't
I don't
want-
know if
we
we'll
don't
get
want
this
this to-
grant, but it's because it's
we
a
want
lot
this
of
whole idea of the
competition.
study to go into the political end,
Yeah.
that would be
Yeah.
probably not a good idea,
Yeah.
particularly nowadays.
Yeah,
This
Whichever
grant
way
is, this grant is highly competitive, but at least doing the grant gives us enough about what we're gonna need in terms of what the project is.
Sure.
And all of that, because I have to do
Cool.
all kinds of pictures and
Yeah,
it's a
Oh,
big
it's
involved
It's good
grant.
prep work
Yeah.
for any other kind of grants
Yeah.
that come along.
Yeah, and if we don't get it this year, we can apply next year, or at least we can,
Or different
what,
grants.
what's the match? I forget.
It's about 20. It'll be about 50,000, and we already have 25,000 promised in hand. MJ did some finagling, so it's 20. It's a 50% match, just like the survey.
Just like
grant.
the survey grant?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So it'll probably be about a $50,000 project.
Cool. We will
Okay.
put you on the agenda for March.
That'll be good, and again, it would be a letter of support, and the mayor's actually working with me on getting other letters of support and such together too. This one too, if you know any citizens that maybe, would be interested in the history of preserving that would be this would be a good letter of support for them,
Okay.
right? Because they want lots of letters of support. Letter of support's really good
Sure.
to have for grants. So,
I
That
wonder
should
if
be.
there's some statewide letters of support we could get.
that's definitely what the mayor is working on there too.
Yeah.
And we're gonna get for
Yeah,
college.
architectural
That's
significance.
of national significance, so
Yeah.
maybe it,
Yeah, maybe even one of the senators.
Right.
So, yeah, so we'll talk,
Yeah.
I'll continue to work with the mayor. and
If at some point you need some public support in this process, I could easily do you a piece about the family, the Levitt family. That's a really interesting story. The Jonathan Levitt people who built the house in the first place, and the history of that family is very, very interesting,
Cool.
very human, because
Yeah.
they called that place the social villa because they had so many parties there.
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
had some young girls.
Yeah.
And the son of the family, Jonathan Jr., died while he was at Yale, and his sisters wrote his biography, which was published about stories about the house and about their brother and so forth, posthumously.
uh-huh,
And
Oh,
a
neat.
copy of that's in the society. So
neat,
yeah, so it's all a really interesting human story, and it makes that building more human and more
Mhm.
interesting
And that even
Yeah.
than
more.
just an old creaky library that nobody wants.
well, I made,
Yeah.
this is very involved, grant, so once I get more done on the narrative, I may have you look at it just for
You know,
accuracy.
maybe
'cause I've
down the
done
road, I'm just saying,
lots of
we
research
could
on
raise
it, yeah.
public consciousness at some
yeah.
point, if we wanted to do that.
And there is a
But this is
recent,
good.
there's a recent book out about Asher Benjamin, actually the first definitive biography of him, and that author lives in Vermont.
Oh, that's cool.
So maybe we
Yeah.
can get a letter from him saying, you know.
Oh, that's an idea. Remind me of that, and let's get you the name.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I did put Asher Benjamin in the narrative. I started it off with him actually because
Yeah.
he's famous and
Yeah.
he wrote the first architectural Bible for the country.
Wrote it here.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
So
Public
that's why I
hearing.
started off the narrative with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been really cool to research and such. So, all right, cool. So I will be back then in March on that. And I think that's it, unless you all have any questions or anything.
No, thank you again for all your
Thank you
work.
for your help.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
big help.
and
Yeah,
we'll be in
great.
contact and maybe we can do with you. See you.
Ping me about the pictures, because I do have a lot. But first you're gonna finish this one, then you're
I
gonna.
will ping you numerous times, I'm sure.
Okay,
Okay,
so there was some demolition checks that I had to look at. I had to look at 347 Wells Street, which is a super derelict structure that's like across the street from Ray's Cycle Shop, all the way up to the end of Wells Street. There was a garage there. I think it was a Macklin's garage.
Wow.
I think it was actually an oil depot back in the day, in the way back. But the garage is still there, built in about 1950. But next to that was which is curious because I looked at the tax garden stuff, and the house, which is whatever 1900 or 18 somethings. The house is the one that's being demolished, and that's not even listed on the card, even though it's pictured on the map. You can see it, but nevertheless, it's in horrible shape. Horrible shape, and they're already ripping into it as we speak. So it is what it is. Definitely a dangerous looking structure. So did that. Grove Street. Trying to remember that one. Was this a deck? It was a deck on Grove Street that
see, you shouldn't have to bother with that.
well. And then I got one today. I'm not seeing it. It was on Newell Pond Road. It was a pool. They're taking out a pool. Yeah, right. But anyway, so
Can't really
A
preserve
historic pool.
historic pool. Well, it could have been.
Could have been,
one.
right?
Just curious, what's the age threshold where it gets tagged? That you there's
Oh,
is there an
Just give
age
you
or
Should
a
be
number?
50 years.
50 years.
Yeah. So that
Age threshold for what?
I don't know if it
So
is.
what's
I
considered
think that
Or
once
is
they
it
post,
every demolition?
there's a
They're
piece
giving
of
them
paper
every
with a little
month,
box that needs to get checked, and our name is next to the box. As you go through the list to get the demo permit,
Okay.
you go check, and you come to us, and we're checking the box. And I think that they do that for everything.
Every demolition,
It's CYA,
even if it's not.
Yeah.
in case that turned out to be a really historic pool.
Okay. I'm just. All right.
Yeah.
And you get it in time enough to,
It's.
Well, it's again, it's a little unclear when they get the request, and
Yeah.
then when I get asked. So there's been a couple, like we talked about. There's been a couple times where
Yeah.
they're like, how come you haven't checked it out? I'm like, I don't know. You sent it to me like 4:30 on a Friday, so
Well,
but,
that's,
it's the weekend now.
that's a pattern. Yeah.
Yeah, but whatever. I'm not complaining
No.
about it. It is what it is.
in a way, if we could not have you be bothered with the stuff that's clearly not in our jurisdiction, and then make
Decks
sure
and
that we
pools.
get the
Decks
Decks and pools. I mean,
decks and
come on.
pools and old garages.
And garages.
generally,
Yeah. I mean,
or
it's
new
pointless.
garages, yeah.
I know. I guess
I'm just like when Riddell Street comes or
Whatever, yeah,
whatever.
or whatever.
We should have a month before the shovel is
Yeah.
poised
Yeah.
to be
Well,
able to
good
talk
luck.
about it.
Good luck with getting that. It just, we're down the bottom of the
Was
list.
it a conversation with our building inspector?
Well, it could be, yeah, I mean, I can send them an email and say we need more time, we wanna know what the timeline is, between when the request is made and when it's granted. You know, I mean, I know we have a certain amount of time to respond, but usually they want it right away.
Right.
And usually they're already
Well,
digging
I
into
mean,
it.
I guess my point is this is, honestly, I think this is about the town and customer service again. And they are
Yeah.
not serving the people who are putting these applications, and if they are not getting the information to us so that there's no bottlenecks, and as soon as that thing comes into the office, you should be notified. Everybody else is notified.
Yeah, the fire chief.
Well, I can tell you when we'll get that. When we'll get that is when we have teeth to stop something.
Well,
Yes,
That will get attention.
we have the teeth,
Well, we don't do it though, how do we?
right.
well,
We
it's
don't.
not.
So, you
it's
know,
not the
what does
point.
it take stopping some things arbitrarily to get attention? I don't know.
This is about town service, and they should
It is,
be
it is.
doing,
You're
they should
absolutely
be
right.
getting this out so that people
You're right.
can get their applications through as quick as possible.
Yeah.
Very simple.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. Anyway, I can send.
I mean, there used to be a group that would meet that would look at all the projects that
Right.
came in so that they could funnel, especially new construction, where they could
Right.
funnel things like, licenses and permits that would be needed.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that is still a functioning group or not, but that's what needs to happen with these applications, is the stuff needs to get funneled out as fast as possible.
Be a group in the planning department.
I think Eric would know.
It
Yeah,
used
what
to
it
bring everybody
Yeah.
together. It used to bring licensing together and permitting together and potentially fire together and DPW, right? Sewer connection permits and driveway cuts and I
Right,
mean,
right.
this
Most
is,
towns do have, or cities
there,
have
this
that.
should,
Yeah.
we need to be on, included when those things are dissipated. The notice needs to get out to
Right.
this committee that,
Right.
whatever, that if we have to look at everything.
Yeah.
And the other thing is to see is there a way of, quote, not seeing everything? Decks, pools, garages.
Well, I mean, you look at the plot plan online, right?
Yeah.
First step.
Yep.
Don't you have the option not to go then?
Yeah, I suppose.
Exercise the option.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
nobody here's gonna complain if you say, I don't wanna go look at that pool or that garage. I mean, you
Yeah.
can look at the street view.
Yeah.
And say, no, I'm not leaving my
Yeah,
house.
I think that's fine.
I mean,
yeah,
Is there
I
a street
just-
view out everywhere, Lyden Road?
Not everywhere, but a lot of places.
Well,
but-
the GIS maps has layers, so you can switch
Yeah.
layers and yeah.
Do we need to ask Eric to attend one of our meetings for 10 minutes? Is that what we need to do? Or is that what we should do?
No, I don't think we need to do that. I mean, I think he's
Yeah, I think it,
Just,
I mean, Mark Snow has developed a process for larger projects. And Eric was involved
mhm.
as well. So there is a sort of guidebook to how to do larger
Yeah.
projects. But it's slanted towards new construction,
Sure,
which
Right.
is different than.
Right.
but
Then demolition.
but there isn't a lot of, quote, virgin construction in town anymore.
No.
Most new construction involves a demolition.
That's true.
That's my point.
Or
That's
addition
true.
renovation. I mean, there
Yeah.
is going to be a very, very large project.
Yeah, so,
We're going to want to be involved.
Well, I think we should officially give John permission not to go to all these sites.
yeah.
No,
That's
because you feel, you're obviously feeling the responsibility
Yeah, I mean, I'm
doing
not,
that.
it's,
But if you don't wanna go, don't go. Just look at the plot plan. If you decide it's not worth your trip, don't make the trip.
I think that's fair to assume that it's our discretion whether we, or you guys can,
You're in your discretion. That's what I'm
Correct.
saying.
Yeah.
right, you guys, right,
Put the burden on you.
yeah.
Right.
That's fair.
Yeah, and which is, I think that's fine, and I'll send them an email to that effect saying,
Yeah.
like,
I'm not gonna go to all these things, but I'm gonna look at them and see if I need to go.
and I'm sure that's fine with them. you know, it's a deck and
Yeah.
a pool.
Why wouldn't
You
it?
know.
Yeah,
I'm like,
they just wanna get a
And
box tick.
For
They don't-
projects over $500,000, we need a month's notice. Something like that. And I don't know what the laws exactly states, but we've looked at it before, right?
But it's more the historical value than it is the total value of the
Right.
project.
Right.
I know,
Exactly.
but just as a
You can't
way
put a
of
number on
kicking
it.
it around.
I don't think
Right.
I don't think
Yeah.
it's something you can put a number on.
Sure.
Okay. All right, well, thank you. I think I have
So
anything
I
else.
have a couple of things.
One, I guess I will just talk about I'll mention the CPC meeting, which I have to go to soon.
Yeah.
And we're looking at more projects, and I'll report back on that at the next meeting. But
Okay.
it's going good, as I told you before. It's a lot of work to go through everything, and all of a sudden now there's lots of people who want money, and there's not that much money. So
Yeah.
But
There's a decent amount.
there's a decent amount, and I think there's a lot of good projects. And I mean, I think it's great that people are getting out and getting involved and,
Oh, yeah.
and
Yeah.
putting forth their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if nothing else, it's good for that piece.
Yeah. So a couple things, we were gonna talk about new suggestions for the Miller Award. That got lost off the
Yeah.
agenda, but it
Right.
needs to be put back on the
Yes.
agenda. Does anybody have any contact information for Benton Cook?
I do.
Because I don't have any, and I wanted to get a hold of him to pick his brains about any projects that he thought might qualify.
Great idea.
So if you could shoot an email to me with his contact info. I looked, but I was not able to find it. Of course, that's like 4 computers ago. So,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. I can do that. And I was thinking about him. I was thinking about him with the Hobie House.
oh yeah.
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 That's what reminded me. But yeah.
It's interesting. You can find his company, but there's no contact information,
Yeah. Probably.
which is pretty
Probably- he
typical. I
probably
think it's
likes it
all
that
word
way.
of mouth.
Yep.
He doesn't like the internet anyway. So I think.
Oh, really?
So that was one thing. Let's see, what else? New members. You were going to talk about new members.
He's here.
Yeah.
Well.
What I want to talk about was not only a replacement for Bob,
Yeah.
but to consider the replacement for Dave.
Well.
He didn't come. And in the past, we have made the decision that when people don't come over a period of time,
Yeah.
they're not members, and so we've done that before, and we should consider doing it again because I haven't seen the guy. So, I'm just saying that at some point, we have trouble making quorums and whatnot. If everybody were coming,
Yeah.
we wouldn't have that problem.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so I just wanted to bring that up. It's an unpleasant
Yeah.
proposition, but it needs to be brought up.
Can I just say that he's
Yeah.
highly qualified and really, he's a very highly qualified person that has skills that would
I know, but he's not here.
really serve us well.
So is Ben. So is Ben.
Yeah.
So it was
to
Ben,
Tim's
and
point.
Ben didn't come, and
So-
I know.
And the
but
fellow from-
I was frustrated last
the fellow
week.
that was
Yeah.
working at the inn down there, same problem,
I
didn't
know.
come.
I
So,
know.
so at some point you have to say, look,
Yeah.
Just gotta show up.
I mean, could be.
Well, I
He
mean,
works in San Francisco.
well, I mean, the thing is, I guess the first step to do is to have a simple conversation with him and say,
Yeah.
Yeah.
is it a timing thing?
Yeah,
Is there something we need to change about timing of the meetings that
Right.
could help?
yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's not that we want to be consistent, but it's not written in stone that we meet the first Thursday or second
Yeah,
Thursday.
right.
I mean, we
We've
can
changed
move
it
it if we
before.
have to. Is it time? I think it's reasonable to have a conversation with him, but I agree with your
Yes.
sentiment.
And I agree with
Yeah,
Margo's
and
point.
Yeah.
if it's David McCullough, if he doesn't come, it doesn't make a
I mean,
difference.
he's works for a,
Yeah.
he works
Right.
for a museum. He's
Yeah.
there's something he can contribute.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, and I wish that there was. I mean, we could have. What do we call it? Like associate members, but they're non-voting,
Hmm.
right?
Well, we have them, yeah. We've had in the
Yeah.
past.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, that's how Bob started.
Like the planning board?
That's how Bob Moorhead started, he
No.
was an associate member.
We can have
Oh.
associate members,
Non-voting,
But-
sure.
but then, so then, you know, I'm thinking like in the bullpen here. So if I have an associate member and I'm like, oh, dude, we really need you because
Yeah.
Dave's not going to make it. But if
Well,
we
that-
tap them in, can they vote?
No, you have to
No,
have,
you
that has to be, there
That's
has to
the
be a
transition
structure
to
of
that.
an alternate member.
That's right.
That's what a zoning board and the planning board have, is there are typically two alternate members, which are completely sworn in as members
Right.
and can step in and contribute to quorum
Right.
and vote,
Right.
participate.
Well, we should have that
We
then.
could do that as well.
But that needs to be written into the, it needs to be in the town charter or,
Right.
Yeah, right.
yeah.
Which there isn't any.
But it could be done, I
Right.
believe, unless it's spelled out in the Massachusetts general laws, the size of our
It
commission.
doesn't have alternate
I
members.
just, yeah, so that might be a problem,
Yeah.
because if the law supersedes what the town does,
Oh,
I'm not sure we could designate it. You're almost getting into ask the attorney
Well, I mean,
territory. Honestly, it seems simple, but.
Yeah. well, you know, but I mean, I guess going back to it, you know, it's like we've got 7 members. I need 4 people here.
Mhm.
We got 4 right now.
Right,
You know, we're down 1, so that's 6. Dave's not here. Doug's not
Right.
here.
is Doug going to be coming?
Well, he canceled at the last minute last week, which is why
Mhm.
we were all set. We came here because Doug.
Right.
It was too late to call to cancel the meeting because it was like an hour before.
Yeah.
But I got here and I said we're not having it. But at least he did this time. He didn't. He did not respond. I don't know if he just flaked
No.
on it. I also didn't. I didn't.
right,
Yeah, you didn't check.
yeah.
I did. Yeah. I mean, I don't have time to go. Hey,
I don't-
Doug,
I don't-
it's time to wake up for school.
I
So,
think Doug probably
I can't-
understands.
And I
He's-
call everybody. I mentioned it to Matt because he's not on the thing. So.
Well, that's why we're gonna welcome
This
Matt
was,
with open
right.
arms.
This was a little litmus test.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Well, it's a good thing you emailed me because
Why don't you put your email and number on there too?
Okay.
I don't have any contact info. You got a
I
pen?
I can-
or pencil. I got plenty of
You got one free can.
pens
Perfect,
coming
yeah.
at me.
I- yeah, and I
Yeah.
can. I have. his
Well,
email.
it's a good thing you emailed me because I thought it was at 5, so I was going to come in at
Yeah.
5.
I remember
changed
that
up,
because
yeah.
Sure.
Right.
we discussed it. But
Change that. All right, so
anyway.
you want to put
When
this
I sat with-
Miller thing on the next agenda?
Yeah,
Is that the plan?
absolutely.
yeah, and yes, and I think that what happened was that you brought it up. We said yes, that's great. Let's talk about it next meeting.
Yeah.
And then we didn't.
But and understand now, the way that was set up originally was that we don't have to do it,
Right.
Right.
okay? It's entirely up to us whether we do it or not.
Mm-hmm.
And we could do it 4 times in a year, or we could do it none in a year. We deliberately set it up that way because we figured there's no, we don't want to be tied to a certain deadline where you have to make a decision and you have a bunch of bad possibilities. You know what we're talking about?
I was going to say you might want to fill
No,
that
this,
in.
we're talking about the Peter Miller Award. It's an award for the best work historically, keeping an historically accurate building or doing something along those lines. And we've done it once, and the first recipient was the parking garage with the use of those bas reliefs and all of the other stuff that they did in that place. Although I will say that the original plan of the garage was to have an informational kiosk that we were going to help write, and then that got cut. So that made it a little less historical. But anyway, that was the first recipient, and so we've decided to continue to do that. But we have to come up with people's ideas as to what might qualify
Okay.
as a historical renovation or something to improve the public's awareness of the history of it.
Right. So yeah, I mean, we want to promote the idea and inspire people to do. If you're going to do work on Main Street or you're rehabbing an old building, and
Right.
kind of do it so it's kind of nice and not
Yeah.
kind of crummy.
And I will send you the criteria. I sent the criteria to everybody else. I sent the criteria as a press release we sent out that describes the award, so I'll send you
Okay.
a copy.
Matt, did you reach out did you connect with Caitlin via email, Von Schmidt from the town? And
Yeah,
Send your letter
so yeah, got my letter in, pretty sure. So I think she sent it along to the mayor, but I
Okay.
haven't heard anything back other than
I can poke
that.
them.
So, yeah.
Okay.
So are you gonna have a conversation with Dave?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't wanna be,
You are that guy.
I don't wanna be the Grinch.
So, hey,
I don't wanna be the Grinch, but damn it.
Yeah.
We don't have that many people in the first place, so.
believe me, I was bummed. I mean, I knew you weren't going to be here. I was like, okay.
Yeah,
And I was like, hey, we got, I got 6 people.
I was eating lobster in Maine, man.
Oh, too
I wouldn't be here
bad.
Sorry,
Wow.
given the choice,
You didn't
No,
bring
it's fine.
any,
It
so
was
I
an
don't
easy
know.
choice.
And I don't, and the other part of it too is I don't want people to feel like you all have to be here for every meeting. Like I
Yeah.
never miss a meeting. I got a ton of
There you
stuff to do.
Yeah.
But, which is fine, but I
Well,
I don't want people to
That's
feel
why
like
he's an
you
honor.
should be able to miss once in a while, and you've got stuff coming off, and
Sure.
that's fine. But the big thing, of course, is to RSVP if you're not going to be there,
Right.
or let it be known. Yeah.
and speaking of which, I won't be here for the next meeting.
Ah, damn.
Uh,
Well, we're already down one.
And it's gonna be in February.
Yeah, I'll be in
Right.
Spain.
Nice.
Wow.
First, it's
We're
Maine.
gonna put
And
you
then it's in
on.
Spain.
We're gonna put you on that
Hiatus.
list
Yeah,
soon.
right.
Now, last month, this month,
Whatever.
Spain, Maine.
I'll be here.
Hey,
I'll be here.
my wife's attitude is travel while you still can.
Absolutely.
I have one
And
announcement.
by God, we're doing it.
If you're interested, just so people know. Something really interesting is coming to Turner's Falls, the Discovery Center. The Smithsonian is bringing this program called Museum on Main Street. Rural Crossroads Change in Rural America. There's going to be there from February 5th to March 18th. It's actually a big deal. So it's a Smithsonian traveling roadshow. And at the museum, we're going to have 2 presentations that kind of go along with that. On February 18th at 1 p.m., it's going to be a program on industrialization through Franklin County. I forget who's going to run that. I think Jim is. And on February 25th, there's going to be cutlery and hand tools, and Steve Smithers.
Cool.
He's a silversmith, and we have a guy named Mark Fournier. We're going to do demonstrations on
Oh, cool.
using hand planes and
Yeah.
things like that. But what the Discovery Center program is a big deal that the Smithsonian is bringing their road show. They do, they've been doing this for a while, but it should be a very interesting program.
Cool.
So
Very cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. You just reminded me of one little thing I got from MJ Adams. City of Greenfield, the Deliberate Downtown Initiative, first community workshop, January 19th, next week. Join us to discuss the city's update to update the downtown revitalization plan. It's going to be here next on the 19th at 5:30. So, if you're interested, there you go. All right, and then
And
If you-
it
if you can't,
maps out all the various things going on, and it's pretty exciting.
it is right.
Yeah.
Fisk Avenue Pocket Park, Skateboard Park, Wilson's Building, some of the things here. If you can't make it, they will showcase the questions at January 20th, 27th. Stop by and enter your thoughts, or come to the Greenfield Winter Carnival, February 3rd and 5th. There you go.
So did anybody know anything more about the Wilson's project? How the plan is to take the facade off, right?
I
Well,
don't know.
that's the hubbub, but we haven't heard anything
I
official,
mean,
right?
They would
The
have
artist
to.
renderings they've shown show it with the original facade on it or something close
That's
to
the
the original.
look
It was
they'll go
actually
for.
architect's renderings. And I happen
Right.
to know the firm.
Right.
But we
Yeah.
we have
Even though
not
they didn't
we
get
have not
started.
heard anything about it. Of course, there was an article in the paper.
Yeah.
Saying, "Oh, we're excited, it's moving forward," something like that. But
Right.
whether or not,
Yeah.
that's an article.
So, it raises an interesting question because at what point does a new facade,
We talked. We did.
the
We've talked about that. Yes, absolutely.
historical facade, and when does the new facade become protected under some versions of that
Yeah.
as opposed to the old facade? I don't, when does that facade date to? You know,
Geez, I don't know. Early 50s or 50s.
50s, 60s, right?
I would assume.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
and my argument is, like I kind of look at it like I want to keep it because that facade is super iconic, and anybody that came to Greenfield ever in the past 80 years ever since they built it, whatever. Knows Greenfield. That symbol is like.
But of course, the downside is if you leave it up, then the nice space they want to use on the top floors looks like a jail cell from
They
the
have no
inside
windows.
because you're looking through slats.
Right. So I mean, right. So that's
So-
that's the practical side of it.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
practical
And-
side of it.
You know, but my point too is a little bit more like we have somewhat of a phony nostalgia
Mhm.
for bricks. It's made out of brick. It must be like super historic. Like, well, you know, kind of, but you know, it's super cool how it is, and I think it's architecturally interesting. And there's a lot of other things about it that might be in terms of a conversation worth preserving.
I would assume they did that when that was the hotel, right? American Hotel.
Yeah.
And when Wilson's took over the whole building, they were only on the first floor.
Right.
When they took over the rest of the building was probably when they did that, because that's when they converted those second and third floors from hotel rooms to,
It must have been
Showroom.
storage. I think early 60s.
It was storage. Well, the top was all
They
storage.
might have been on
yeah.
the second floor already.
Yeah.
sorry?
They might have been on the second floor already. I think
I think it
the
was
hotel was third
Yeah.
floor.
offices up there?
But I thought I saw.
No, they had retail
Did they?
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I thought I saw in the rendering that a little bit of the white, the blue and white, on there. Am I correct in that? Like it would be nice if that's not if they saved a corner of it or saved like just
Yeah.
a lower section of it.
Right, sure.
Because
yeah.
it is so iconic.
Yeah.
But just saying, you know, it's the same thing like what the what's the recorder building and that facade there is
Yeah.
pretty iconic too. It's kind of cool. You know. So anyway, all right, I gotta go.
Yep.
They're
Motion
definitely
to
saving
adjourn.
some of the letters.
Motion to
So
adjourn.
moved.
Yeah, move to adjourn.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Okay,
Alright.
so moved to adjourn. Thank you guys.